back to the channel. I'm Gav, aka BEYTEK, and today in this video we're going to be carrying on with the Turbo Lexus project. The name of the game in this video is the intercooler setup. Hopefully we're going to be able to whip off the front bumper. We've got the MaXPEEDINGRods 3-inch thick intercooler that we're going to be using on this thing here, and they've also supplied a 2.5-inch intercooler kit as well. I've got an adapter to take the 2.5-inch piping to the 3-inch intercooler, and it looks like it's all going to fit on quite nicely. So what we'll do is we'll whip off the front bumper, we'll get a look at, see what we need cut out of the way, how we're going to mount it, and then get this thing stuck together. So jack the car up, I've whipped off the front bumper. As you can see, I've never actually taken it off before, but thankfully it wasn't too bad. I did see down here though that I've got a little bit of a leaking pipe here for the power steering system, so I'm going to have to keep an eye on that, probably get a new one. And as you can see here, I've now got the MaXPEEDINGRods. This is a 3-inch intercooler here, and this is the piping kit that comes with it. Now there's enough silicone joiners and enough joins and stuff like that to get it. It's not actually too difficult to do. However, there is enough joins here that I would be able to do this with using the clamps, the silicones, cutting the pipes the right sizes. But I am half tempted to actually weld these on. Now I know this wouldn't be classed as a budget or a DIY thing because not many of you have welders, but I do like the idea of having less silicone couplers. So I'm going to mount the intercooler anyway. I'm going to see how it looks. Turbo here, one here, and then one at the bottom. That would be nice, but looking at this thing, it looks pretty tight to get down here. So it's not too bad this side. This side looks pretty tight. We may have to move some things out of the way here. The air conditioning pump here is very close to everything, so yeah, I'm not too sure how I'm going to do this. I'll just have to try and move stuff around and then support from there. But yeah, excited to start cutting bits up. But I'm probably going to notch this here and bolt it from the top, get the intercooler in place, see how the bumper's looking. We're probably going to have to trim that up a little bit, and yeah, we'll crack on, we'll see how we get on. Right, so I decided just to cut that full piece off here because I didn't like how restricted it would make the intercooler for not going back. I don't want to cut the front bumper up too much, so I've made this bit of steel up here. It's going to go right across, and I'm going to drill it through here, right into the inside, and we'll bolt that down, and then this, I'll have bolts come through into the intercooler itself, and yeah, it'll be nice and strong. So we'll get this thing drilled out just now, and see if we can mount up the intercooler and see how the pipes are looking. Right, so now I've got these bolted on. I've drilled here, going straight way through, and the intercooler now is nice and secure. So I'll probably mount the bottom as well onto the bottom tab on the radiator, and I'll thread lock them in. Should always thread lock them because you can find sometimes that your intercooler bolts and stuff can drop a bit loose. So yeah, we'll do that. And now I'm going to have a look at the pipe and see how we can get pipe from here up here to here. Right, so that's now mounted, and I'm starting working on pipes now. It's quite tight to get everything down there, but I reckon I should manage. I'm going to do some trimming of this MaXPEEDINGRod stuff to get to sit nicely. So we'll come down here, around to this point here. I'll probably have to make it from custom from about here to come around here and into here, but it shouldn't be too bad a job, to be honest. Right, so I'm just changing the sizes. I've just cut it a bit shorter, and I've made this little tool that puts a little bead on the end just to stop the pipe slipping off. I just kind of clamp it around, welded a wee blob in there on the inside, and puts a nice wee bead on, so that'll fit. I've done this side, and you can see it's kind of nice and close and nice and tight, plenty of room around everything. So that's going to come underneath and go back, and then this one here will come underneath around. And I made a wee bit of clearance down here to get up from there into the intake of the car. Okay, so the direction I took was to use the 45 here. I made a wee weld onto a straight down there, and then that came down to this piece here to a 90, and then 90 come onto this piece here, which comes around and goes to the front again. So that piece there is pretty much done, so I'm happy with that. Okay, now we're working off the turbo up there. We're going to come from here see this get a G8 from there down here, and then this piece from here to join onto this piece here. So we're not far away, but some welding and some cutting and grinding, we should have that all nice and neat, and that'll be pretty much the intercooler stuff done. So we've got new gas on, and we've now got this pipe pretty much welded up and ready to go on. What I'm doing just now is I'm just using a cold air intake temp sensor, a fast one, and I'm just putting it into here, so just a little bit accurate, a little bit more accurate at reading the inlet temps. So the intercooler pipes are all on now, nice and welded up, and we have the couplings all on, and I've taken the inlet manifold off now, and I'm just working on the oil feed. You can see down here I've actually teed off of the original oil switch, pressure switch down here, and I'm coming off here to an AN4. The reason I'm using that instead of the usual fitting here on this banjo here for the VVT is that's unfiltered oil source, and that is a filtered oil source, so that's why I used that instead of. Right, so there we pretty much have it. We've got our oil lines put up to the top now, and these two lines here for the coolant. There's lots of smoke and stuff like that. You get off this thing because there's oil everywhere. But yeah, it's alive so far. I'll probably let it get up to temperature, check over some oil leaks, get the bumper back on. Right guys, while I was editing this, I actually found loads and loads of footage that was just gone. So I'll give you a quick update. It's basically, I found some RX8 Blue injectors from Allied Express. I decided to buy some anyway. I think it was like 8 of them for £54. So I decided to take a chance on them. I do not recommend people using these China injectors because they can fail, but I'm like a professional idiot. I do this shit all the time, so and I monitor fuel pressures and stuff like that, so do it if you want, but it's not coming back to me. It's not my fault if they melt a cylinder or something. So that being said, I got them, I float tested them. They surprised me massively. They were all within 1 or 2%, and standard injectors, like a good set of Bosch injectors, are usually within like 3-4%, so I was very, very happy with them. They're basically a direct bolt on to the rail. Everything fits on perfectly. The only thing is you need to change to a Delphi style injector plug itself. You can actually use the standard pins. You just have to de-pin them and pin them into the new pigtails, which was handy. The spider on the fuel pulsation dampener, I did actually end up drilling 4mm holes around that, and just to help with flow, because the fuel pulsation dampener is a bit of a restriction point. James at DIY EFI also gave me a wee plug that I could put in a 3-bar map sensor, so I put a 3-bar map sensor in as well. So because the standard boost, I went up to 0.3 bar, and at that point there the standard map sensor won't read anything more above that, so bear that in mind. So yeah, and I've calibrated that in with the Medevac, and that's kind of where you'll see from the footage from there. So after this you'll start to see some pulls. I've not got the car in a dyno yet. We will dyno at some point, but by fuck, it sounds so cool. So what I'll do is I'll spin this off. I'll show you what I mean. See, the bottom one's a copper washer. That's just kind of what you'd usually get in a banjo bolt. And then if you can see, don't drop that, as you can see here, this thing has they call it, I'm sure they call it a spider washer, but basically the fuel flow itself comes up through the banjo, comes through the spider washer, through the pulsation dampener then comes out through the middle, and then that feeds the rail. And one of the easiest things to do is you can basically drill holes in here, which I'll probably do. Drill holes in here, and that just increases the flow through the bolt into the rail. And you can see our 6 injectors there. So we'll get all this off, we'll modify this, we'll pull the inlet manifold, we'll get a wee check underneath, install a new map sensor so I can see what fucking boost I'm actually running, and then we can go from there. We're in some sort of action. We've got 3 bar of fuel pressure. Now we need to see where these bastards flow. Hopefully they flow the same. I'm not gonna lie, actually, I am pretty bloody impressed. Like, that's actually not bad for genuine injectors, never mind cheap ones. They're all getting 15 seconds on the high flow. So that's well within 1%, so I mean, so far they're alright. One test I like to do is get the pressure cranked right the way up, because sometimes you find on cheap injectors they don't actually like to open with a lot of header pressure. So I've got the MITI-vac plumbed up to the map sensor itself, and you can see with nothing on the gauge we're actually at 26 kPa, which is not right. It should be 100 kPa, so we'll put a bit of pressure in. We can see that map sensor starting to climb, so that's always good. It means we've got our wiring the right way around. But basically, we're showing here 58 kPa on the gauge, and this gadget here is saying 49, which is actually not far off. However, that's 150 kPa because we're positive, and that's vacuum. So yes, we need to calibrate this. Now, you could probably actually, because the map sensor I'm using is quite a common one, might even already have one in. Let's see, map sensor. Let's have a wee look. GM3 bar, burn that. 93 kPa, that is much better. Not bang on, but much better. I may have to just play, see how it gets. So, because I'm a fussy bastard, 100 kPa there, aka 200 kPa there, we'll bring it down a wee bit to, what's that? It looks like 60 somewhere. 160, and then 0 should be close to 100. There we go, within 1 kPa. Super full. We'll start a wee data log. Data logging now. Foot down, see what she does. Keep an eye on that AFR. Really rich. Oh, that's it now. 0.6 bar, no boost in it, and it's very rich. So we're going in the right direction now, boys. Thanks for coming along and watching the video, and we'll catch us in the next one. Cheers.